And we're kicking off with SummerSlam, where Seth Rollins would put his World Heavyweight Championship on the line against Finn Balor in what is sure to be an intense rematch from Money in the Bank. This match will come 7 years after the pair faced off for the Universal title at SummerSlam 2016, and fans of the Architect should expect a rough night in Detroit. According to sources close to the situation, WWE is considering writing Rollins off of TV, as the reigning champion is said to be working hurt and has been for some time. During an episode of the Impulsive podcast, Rollins went into detail about the nagging injuries he's been dealing with for months. He said, "My knee's been bugging me before WrestleMania. My neck acting up, my lower back has been at me since 2019. Probably should get surgery on that, but trying to do whatever I can to make sure I don't need it." Sources have revealed that WWE is considering having Rollins drop the title to Balor at SummerSlam, and things are only going to go from bad to worse for the Architect from there. One member of WWE's creative team said an idea is being discussed which would see Rollins lose the title and, post-match, be beaten down by Balor and other members of the Judgment Day. This beatdown would only end with the return of Randy Orton, which would send Balor and his crew running, rather than take on the returning Legend Killer. Orton would then help Rollins to his feet and embrace the now former World Heavyweight Champion, only to drop Seth with an RKO and possibly a punt. This attack would not only establish Orton as a heel, but it would write Seth off of TV so he can get his much-needed surgery and give Rollins a ready-made feud for whenever he's back on TV. This all depends on whether WWE and Rollins decide Seth needs the surgery though, and the source did indicate that this plan is being considered by higher-ups, but is not locked in at this time. Orton has been out of action since May of last year, and at a time it looked like his career was over, but more recent reports have suggested that his comeback is around the corner. Within a matter of weeks, we could be seeing Rollins off of TV, Orton back as a heel, and Finn Balor as World Heavyweight Champion. And what do you think of these plans? Let us know in the comments. It was earlier this month that Jey Uso laid out the challenge to Roman Reigns, demanding a shot at the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at SummerSlam in Detroit. Reigns has so far not answered the challenge by his cousin, but that didn't stop WWE from accidentally confirming that the match will happen. On YouTube, WWE changed the banner page of their channel, which featured a graphic depicting Reigns vs. Jey, before changing the banner to a simple graphic promoting SummerSlam. While many had expected the match to be confirmed, WWE hadn't made the bout official, and we can only imagine the panic behind the scenes when this mistake was made. Reigns will return to TV on this week's SmackDown, and will lay out his rules of engagement according to a promo last week by Paul Heyman. With SummerSlam drawing closer, many predict that this Friday SmackDown will see Reigns vs. Uso made official, but one member of WWE's YouTube team was a bit too eager to promote this match. On this week's Raw, Brock Lesnar accepted the challenge of Cody Rhodes to a SummerSlam match, and did so with a beating on the American Nightmare in front of Cody's mother. We know that Cody and Lesnar will face off at SummerSlam in the third match between the two, but this will be far different from their previous encounters. As previously reported, WWE has been considering a stipulation match for the pair's third encounter, and WRKD Wrestling reports this week that this is still the plan. While it was rumored some time ago that the SummerSlam match would be a strap match, sources close to the situation have said that Hell in a Cell has been considered for next month's show. It was after taking charge last year that Triple H scrapped the Hell in a Cell Premium Live event, believing that the match should only be used when a story calls for the barbaric structure. The feud between Rhodes and Lesnar has been very personal, and do you think their score should be settled inside the cell? Or would you have a different stipulation in mind for Cody and the Beast? More from Raw, as this week's show in Atlanta, Georgia was a packed show, but things didn't stop when the red brand went off the air. In the main event, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens retained the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles against Dominik Mysterio and Damian Priest, and the Judgment Day did not take this loss well. After Raw went off the air, Finn Balor made his return to ringside and helped his allies attack the champions until Seth Rollins made the save. Rollins delivered a stomp to Balor while Dominik took a stunner from Owens, and afterward, the fans gleefully sang along with Rollins' entrance theme. This probably would have gone on all night if Zayn hadn't asked if they'd sing a different song instead, and led the crowd in a rendition of his new track, Kevin, Don't Be So Angry. When asked for his thoughts, Owens said that he loved the song, and Rollins would send the crowd home with his thanks in quite the post-Raw segment for the fans in Atlanta this week. It was at Forbidden Door last month that Bryan Danielson defeated Kazuchika Okada in an instant classic, but this match left the American Dragon feeling worse for wear. On the post-show media scrum, Danielson disclosed a fractured forearm injury which has kept him out of action ever since, and the latest update on his condition isn't good. On a media call to discuss this week's ROH Death Before Dishonor, Tony Khan disclosed that Danielson's injury is worse than first thought, meaning he'll likely be out longer than the predicted 6 to 8 weeks. With that in mind, it seems that Danielson will miss AEW's much-anticipated All In event, which is set for 5 weeks from now, but Khan added that Danielson is doing all he can to be back as soon as possible. Khan also said that he has continued to be in contact with Danielson and frequently discusses ideas with him, but Bryan has not attended any AEW events in person since Forbidden Door. Danielson will miss tonight's Blood and Guts match with the BCC due to his injury, and we're wishing the American Dragon a full and speedy recovery. Back to WWE, and each week, the Judgment Day continue to prove themselves on programming as the group holds the Women's World title and the Men's Money in the Bank contract, and this week, the faction acquired the NXT North American Championship. It was on last week's NXT that the group invaded the gold brand, with Dominik Mysterio challenging Wes Lee to a title match, and Dirty Dom made good on his vow to win the gold. Unsurprisingly, the Judgment Day did what they could to give Dominik an unfair advantage, but at the end of the day, it was Dominik who was standing tall as the new North American champion. This victory marks the end of Wes Lee's record-long reign with the gold, which began back at Halloween Havoc last October and had seen Lee defend against as many challengers as he could. This win also raises questions about NXT Great American Bash, where Lee was set to defend against Mustafa Ali, and it's unclear whether a non-title match will happen or if Ali will go after Dominik. Mysterio is a former SmackDown Tag Champion, but this win marks his first singles title in WWE, and what do you think of his victory? Let us know in the comments down below. More from NXT now, as Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo only recently returned to the gold brand, but the pair could be going through something of a change. On this week's show, the real-life relatives lost to Dragon Lee and Nathan Frazier and did not take the loss well, teasing a breakup in the process. After the match, Humberto was clearly upset at Garza over the loss and shoved his cousin to the ground and shouted at him before heading off through the crowd, with Garza chasing after him. The cousins have been teaming for some time now, both on the main roster and NXT, but it seems their partnership will be ending soon, kicking off a feud between two talented but often overlooked stars. While the pair of Humberto and Angel may be on the way out, the team of Bronco Nima and Lucien Price made their in-ring debut this week, picking up a victory over Axiom and Scripps. The pair certainly looked impressive in their debut match, but the duo of Nima and Price had caught the attention of WWE's higher-ups long before last night's show. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that even prior to NXT, WWE management were said to be very high on the pair, and a very good sign for the two young superstars. These are still early days for Nima and Price, and the big question is whether WWE will still be high on the pair in the months to come. And what did you make of the team that made their debut this week? It was at WrestleMania 39 that Pat McAfee made his return to WWE with a surprise win over The Miz, a match that, as the A-listers pointed out, he wasn't prepared for. The Miz is confident that he would have beaten McAfee if he'd had prep time, and now the former WWE champion will have another shot at the commentator. During this week's Raw, Miz called out McAfee as the most overpaid person in sports and has been speaking to local media, discussing a possible rematch with Pat. All signs are pointing to a rematch, presumably at SummerSlam, but the question now is whether The Miz can get the win when he knows he'll be facing McAfee at the show. More from AEW now, as Vicky Guerrero first appeared in the promotion in 2019, but her time with the promotion is over. Fightful Select reports that Guerrero is no longer with AEW after her contract expired and she was not re-signed, which comes after her profile was removed from AEW's roster site in April. Guerrero's final months with AEW did see some controversy, as she spoke against her daughter Sherry Lynn when she claimed her stepfather had assaulted her, and it remains to be seen where Vicky goes next now that her AEW tenure is over. And we're ending today with Mark Henry, and when it comes to dominance, few compared to the world's strongest man, and it seems the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. This week, Henry took to Twitter to congratulate his son Jacob, who, as the Hall of Famer revealed, won his national championship qualifier in amateur wrestling. Henry said he was especially proud because his son suffered an injury early into the match and fought through the pain to get the win and advance to the next round of the championships. Little is known about Jacob Henry, but he clearly has his father's skills for dominance, and his win has made for the world's strongest man being one proud papa this week.